Once, in a small secluded village, there was a legend of the Weeping Woman, a tale that had been passed down for generations. The story told of a beautiful young woman named Maria, who lived in the village many years ago. She was known for her radiant beauty and kind heart, and was admired by all who knew her. Maria fell deeply in love with a handsome young man from the village. They were soon married, and it seemed as if their happiness would last forever. However, as time passed, Maria's husband became more and more distant, often leaving her alone for long periods of time. The loneliness and heartache grew too much for Maria to bear. In her despair, she would walk along the riverbank each night, her tears flowing freely. The villagers would hear her sorrowful weeping, but could do nothing to console her. Then, one tragic night, overcome by her sadness and feeling utterly abandoned, Maria drowned in the river. From that day on, her spirit was said to roam the village, still weeping for her lost love. The villagers named her the Weeping Woman. Parents would tell their children to be home before dark, lest they hear the haunting sobs of Maria by the river. As years turned into decades, the legend of the Weeping Woman persisted. Some claimed to have seen her ghostly figure in the moonlight, her long, flowing dress, and her tears shimmering in the night. Others hear her mournful cries carried by the wind. The story of the Weeping Woman served as a poignant reminder to the villagers of the power of love and the depths of despair it can bring. Her tale was not just one of sorrow, but also a warning about the importance of cherishing and nurturing love, lest it slip away into the shadows of heartache. And so, the Weeping Woman remained an eternal figure in the village, a ghostly presence that symbolized the eternal dance of love and loss, hope and despair, echoing through the ages. In the heart of North Carolina, nestled within a dense forest, lies a mysterious clearing known as the Devil's Tramping Ground. This peculiar patch of land, approximately 40 feet in diameter, is where no plant life grows, and according to local lore, animals refuse to cross it. The ground is eerily barren, with the earth appearing scorched and devoid of the lush greenery that surrounds it. The legend of this spot dates back centuries, woven into the fabric of North Carolinian folklore. This story begins in the early 19th century when settlers first stumbled upon this strange clearing. They noted its peculiar barrenness and the inexplicable way in which dogs would whimper and cower at its edge, refusing to tread upon it. Whispers soon spread that the circle was a place where the devil himself would walk at night, plotting mischief and spreading malice. As the years passed, the Devil's Tramping Ground became the subject of numerous ghost stories and supernatural tales. People reported seeing strange lights hovering over the circle at night and hearing eerie sounds emanating from it. Some brave souls who camped within the circle claimed they were plagued by nightmares, with visions of a shadowy figure stalking the edges of their campsite. One popular tale tells of a local man who, in a bid to disprove the myths, placed his bed in the center of the circle and spent the night there. The next morning, he was found in a state of utter terror, unable to speak of what he had seen. He spent the rest of his days in a silent, dazed state, never recovering from the horrors he presumably witnessed. Another legend speaks of a group of teenagers who danced in the circle one moonlit night. They were never seen again, with locals whispering that the devil had taken them for disturbing his ground. Despite numerous scientific investigations, no satisfactory explanation has been found for why vegetation refuses to grow in the circle. Soil samples reveal nothing out of the ordinary, and environmental factors don't seem to account for the barrenness. Today, the Devil's Tramping Ground continues to attract the curious and the brave, with many venturing into the forest to witness this bizarre phenomenon. Some leave unscathed, while others swear they felt an unseen presence or heard whispers in the wind. As night falls over the eerie clearing, the legends of the Devil's Tramping Ground persist. a haunting reminder of the mysteries that still lurk in the shadows of the world, wanting to be uncovered. Ghost Town in the Sky, nestled in the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, holds a rich and haunting history. This story, a blend of fact and folklore, takes us through the journey of this once thriving amusement park, now a ghostly shell of its former glory. In the 1960s, R.B. Coburn, fascinated by the Wild West, founded Ghost Town in the Sky. The park, situated atop Buck Mountain, was a vivid replica of an old western town, complete with gunfights and saloons. Families flocked to experience the Wild West firsthand, making the park a roaring success. Coburn's dream had come to life, thrilling visitors with its unique blend of entertainment and history. However, as years passed, Ghost Town faced numerous challenges. Economic downturns, changing entertainment tastes, and natural disasters like landslides forced the park to close its gates multiple times. Each reopening brought hope, but the park struggled to recapture its former glory. The most haunting aspect of Ghost Town began to emerge in its years of decline. Employees and visitors reported eerie occurrences, ghostly figures in period costumes roaming the streets, unexplained sounds of horses and gunshots, and lights flickering in long-abandoned structures. Some believed these were the spirits of the past, perhaps actors who once brought the town to life, unwilling to leave their beloved stage. The most famous ghostly tale is that of the Lady in White. Legend has it she was an actress at the park, tragically killed in an accident. Her spirit, they say, still wanders the park, mourning her untimely demise. Visitors claim to have seen her ethereal figure near the chapel on the hill, her favorite spot in life. Another haunting tale is that of the Phantom Gunfighter. As the story goes, during a staged gunfight, a real spirit joined, causing confusion among actors and spectators. This apparition, believed to be a former actor who couldn't leave his favorite role behind, appears during what would have been showtimes, enacting his last duel. The park's most chilling spot is the haunted house, originally a thrilling attraction. Now in its dilapidated state, it's said to host real spirits. The sound of laughter and distant whispers echo through its halls, a chilling reminder of its joyous past, now turned eerie. In recent years, Ghost Town in the Sky has been subject of fascination for paranormal investigators and urban explorers. Its rusting rides and deserted streets tell a story of a dream that once was. For those brave enough to visit, they say the experience is like stepping into another world, where the echoes of the past are almost tangible. As night falls over the mountains, the ghostly residents of Ghost Town in the Sky seem to stir, a reminder of the park's vibrant history and the enduring tales that keep its memory alive. Whether these stories are mere legends or glimpses into the supernatural, the mystery of Ghost Town continues to captivate the imagination of all who hear its story. Inger Tower, a prominent landmark in Duluth, Minnesota, has a history as intriguing as its structure is striking. The story begins in the early 20th century, a testament to the city's prosperity and its deep connections to Scandinavian heritage. In 1910, Bert Inger, a native of Norway who made his fortune in the furniture business in Duluth, decided to give back to the city that has been so good to him. He commissioned the construction of a magnificent tower on a hill overlooking the city and the vast Lake Superior. The tower, completed in 1939, 5 years after Inger's death, stands 80 feet tall, fashioned from native blue stone, crowned with a beacon that shines over Duluth. But beyond its architectural beauty and the panoramic views it offers, Inger Tower is shrouded in tales of the supernatural. Locals whisper about eerie occurrences and unexplainable events that have taken place within and around its walls. The most famous story is that of the Lady in White. Visitors have reported seeing a ghostly figure of a woman dressed in white wandering the tower's upper levels and the surrounding park. Some say she is the spirit of a bride who lost her life in a tragic accident shortly after her wedding, which was supposed to be celebrated at the tower. Another haunting tale revolves around the mysterious disappearance of a night watchman in the 1950s. He was last seen doing his rounds at the tower. Although a thorough search was conducted, he was never found. Some claim to hear his footsteps and the jangling of his keys late at night. There are also stories of strange lights seen moving through the trees in Enger Park, inexplicable cold spots within the tower, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Despite, or perhaps because of, these spooky tales, Enger Tower remains a beloved symbol of Duluth, attracting visitors from all over, whether they come for the views, the history, or the thrill of possibly encountering something supernatural. Enger Tower continues to be an enduring and mysterious presence in Minnesota's landscape. In the remote, windswept plains of Nebraska, there lies a hauntingly desolate stretch known as the Haunted Hills of the Seven Sisters. The legend tells of seven sisters who lived in the 19th century in a small, isolated homestead nestled amongst these hills. Their tale is one of tragedy and unexplained mystery, a story that has been whispered in hushed tones for generations. The father of the seven sisters was known to be a stern and unyielding man, consumed by an inexplicable rage. One fateful night, overwhelmed by a dark and incomprehensible madness, he led each of his daughters to a different hill, and in a gruesome act ended their lives. The sisters were left on the hills, and their spirits, it said, never found peace. Since that horrific night, the hills have been shrouded in an eerie pall. Travelers who dare to pass through speak of strange phenomena, ghostly apparitions, chilling screams in the dead of night, and a feeling of overwhelming sorrow and despair. The most unsettling encounters describe the sight of seven spectral figures, each standing atop of her own hill, their forlorn silhouettes etched against the moonlit sky. The local townsfolk avoid the hills, especially after sunset. They believe that the spirits of the sisters are bound to the land, eternally reliving their final, terror-filled moments. Some say that on certain nights, when the moon is full and the wind howls just right, one can hear the sisters' soft, mournful singing, a haunting melody that speaks of betrayal, loss, and unquenchable sorrow. Over the years, many have tried to uncover the truth behind the legend. Some have searched for historical records, while others have attempted to communicate with the spirits. But the mystery of the haunted hills of the Seven Sisters remains unsolved, a chilling chapter in the folklore of Nebraska, forever shrouded in the shadow of a family's tragic past. Once, in the heart of St. Joseph, Missouri, there lay a place of serene beauty and deep history, known as Mount Mora Cemetery. This hallowed ground, established in the mid-19th century, was not just a final resting place for the departed, but a canvas of stories, each gravestone a silent testament to a life once lived. Among the rolling hills and ancient trees of Mount Mora, there was a particular gravestone that drew the attention of visitors. It belonged to a young woman named Elizabeth, known in her time for her kindness and grace. Elizabeth's life, though brief, was filled with acts of charity and love, and her untimely passing left a void in the community. Legend had it that every year on the anniversary of her death, a mysterious figure would visit her grave. Cloaked in shadow, the figure would lay a single white rose upon her stone, a symbol of everlasting love and remembrance. No one knew who the visitor was, but the townsfolk whispered tales of a long-lost lover, returning each year to honor the memory of his beloved. As years passed, the story of Elizabeth and her mysterious visitor became a part of Mount Mora's lore. People came from far and wide, not just to pay respects to their own departed, but to witness the enduring love that transcended time and death. Mount Mora Cemetery, with its winding paths and ancient monuments, was more than a burial ground. It was a place where past and present intertwined, where stories of love, sorrow, and hope were etched into its very soil. It stood as a reminder that even in death, the bonds of love and community remained unbroken, and that every life, no matter how fleeting, left an indelible mark on the world. In the heart of Nebraska, where the winds whisper ancient secrets and the night sky is a vast canvas of twinkling stars, there lies a place shrouded in eerie tales and dark legends. Devil's Canyon. It's a place where the veil between worlds is said to be thin, a place where the brave dare not tread after sunset. Our story begins on a chilly October evening when a group of adventurous friends decided to challenge the legends of Devil's Canyon. They were a mix of skeptics and believers, all eager to experience something beyond the ordinary. As they ventured into the canyon, the fading light of day cast long shadows, and the silence of the area was unsettling. The canyon walls, towering and jagged, seemed to close in on them as they moved deeper into the abyss. They heard faint whispers carried by the wind, whispers that seemed to be calling their names. Initially, they laughed it off, attributing it to their overactive imaginations. But as the night grew darker, so did their fears. They decided to set up camp near an old gnarled tree that looked like it had been there for centuries. As they huddled around the campfire, sharing stories and trying to keep the unease at bay, one of them noticed a strange, flickering light at a distance. It was like nothing they had seen before, a ghostly blue flame that danced without any apparent source. Compelled by curiosity and a touch of fear, they followed the light, which led them deeper into the heart of the canyon. The ground beneath them felt unstable, as if it was hiding secrets beneath its surface. Suddenly the earth trembled, and a deep guttural growl echoed around them. The air grew thick with an unexplainable dread. From the shadows emerged a figure, tall and menacing, with eyes that burned like coals. It spoke in a voice that rumbled like thunder, telling them they had trespassed into a realm not meant for mortals. The figure claimed to be the guardian of Devil's Canyon, a spirit bound to protect its ancient mysteries. Frozen in fear, the friends could only watch as the spirit recounted tales of old, of lost wanderers, of unexplained disappearances, and of those who dared to uncover the secrets of the canyon, never to return. The spirit warned them that their curiosity had a price, and that they needed to leave before the canyon reclaimed them as its own. Terrified, they ran back to their camp, packed their belongings, and fled Devil's Canyon, never looking back. They left with more than just memories. They left with a newfound respect for the legends and mysteries of the place. To this day, they speak in hushed tones about that night, about the guardian of the canyon, and the unexplainable fear that gripped their hearts. Devil's Canyon remains a place of mystery, a reminder that some things in this world are beyond human understanding, and that some places are better left unexplored. In the misty highlands of Scotland, nestled atop the rugged cliffs overlooking the Firth of Clyde, stands the majestic Colzian Castle. For centuries it has been a beacon of Scottish heritage, but as night falls, the castle harbors a secret, the restless spirits that roam its ancient halls. Our story begins on a stormy evening as the castle's newest caretaker, Ian, prepares to lock up for the night. As the wind howls outside, Ian feels a chill that isn't just from the cold. He's heard tales of the ghosts of Colzian Castle, but always dismissed them as mere legends. As he makes his rounds, Ian enters the grand library, where the flickering candlelight casts eerie shadows. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind extinguishes the candles, plunging the room into darkness. Ian's heart pounds as he fumbles for matches, but then, In the dim moonlight filtering through the window, he sees her, the lady in white. She glides across the room, her ethereal dress trailing behind her. Ian is frozen in awe and fear, but the ghostly figure pays him no heed. She reaches the grand fireplace where she pauses, her sorrowful eyes gazing into the embers. Legend says that she was a lady of the castle, waiting for her love to return from war, a love that never came back. Ian, gathering his courage, whispers, "Who are you?" But she vanishes, leaving only a lingering chill. Shaken, Ian continues his rounds, each step echoing in the vast empty halls. As he enters the old tower, the air grows colder. Here another spirit is said to dwell, the Piper of Colzian. As if on cue, the distant sound of bagpipes fill the air, a melancholic tune that seems to seep from the very stones of the castle. Ian climbs the spiral staircase, the music growing louder with each step. At the tower's top, he finds the source, a spectral piper, his fingers moving deftly over the pipes, his eyes lost in a distant past. They say he was a piper who vanished in the castle's hidden underground tunnels, his music forever echoing through the walls. Ian listens, mesmerized, until the music fades into the howling wind. The piper gives him a nod, an acknowledgement from one caretaker to another, before disappearing into the shadows. With dawn breaking, Ian's shift comes to an end. As he leaves the castle, he looks back, knowing that he's now part of its history, a witness to the ghosts of Colzian Castle. These spirits, he realizes, aren't just echoes of the past, but keepers of the castle's soul, forever entwined with its ancient stones. And each night, as the world sleeps, they emerge, guardians of Scotland's timeless legends. The Bunny Man Bridge, nestled in an obscure corner of Washington, D.C., has long been shrouded in mystery and urban legend. Our story begins on a foggy evening in October, when two college friends, Mia and Alex, decide to explore this enigmatic site. Mia, a history major with a keen interest in local legends, had read about the Bunny Man Bridge in an old library book. According to the legend, the bridge was haunted by the ghost of a man who wore a bunny costume. Decades ago, this eerie figure was said to have terrorized locals, and his spirit was rumored to still linger around the bridge. Alex, a skeptic and a science student, joined Mia more for the adventure than the ghost hunt. They arrived at the bridge as the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the old, worn structure. The bridge, with its graffiti-covered walls and overgrown pathways, had an unsettling aura. As they ventured under the bridge, a cold wind swept through, making Mia shiver. "Did you feel that?" she whispered. Alex rolled his eyes but admitted that the place had a creepy vibe. They decided to wait and see if anything unusual happened. Hours passed, and just as they were about to leave, a sudden rustling in the bushes nearby caught their attention. Heart pounding, Mia pointed her flashlight towards the sound. To their astonishment, they saw a figure in a tattered bunny costume emerge from the darkness. Its mask was grotesque, with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. Frozen in fear, they watched as the figure slowly approached, dragging something heavy behind it. Alex, regaining his composure, stepped forward, determined to confront what he now believed was just a prankster. But as he moved closer, the figure vanished into thin air, leaving behind an old, rusted axe where it stood. Shaken, Mia and Alex ran back to their car, the eerie silence of the night punctuated only by their heavy breathing. They drove away quickly, not daring to look back at the bridge that now seemed even more menacing in the rearview mirror. Back on campus, they recounted their encounter, but most dismissed it as a product of their imagination. However, Mia and Alex knew what they had seen. They had come face to face with a legendary bunny man, a ghostly presence that continued to haunt the old bridge, a reminder of the strange and unexplainable mysteries that still linger in the shadows of our world. In the heart of Mercer County, West Virginia, lies the eerie and abandoned Lake Shawnee Amusement Park, a place shrouded in a chilling history and ghostly legends. The story begins in the 1920s when the park was built on land that once was the site of a brutal clash between the European settlers and the Shawnee tribe. The spirits of the fallen, it said, never left the grounds. As the park buzzed with the laughter of children and the clinking of carnival games, an undercurrent of darkness lingered beneath. Tragedy first struck when a young girl in a white ruffled dress climbed onto the swing set. As she swung higher and higher, the laughter turned into screams when a delivery truck backed into her, ending her life instantaneously. Visitors later claimed to see a ghostly figure in a white dress swinging silently in the dead of night. Another grim tale recounts a boy who drowned in the park's swimming pool. From then on, many reported an eerie sensation of being watched near the water, and some even claimed to feel unseen hands grasping at their feet. As years passed, the park witnessed more accidents and unexplainable events, leading to its closure in the 1960s. But the land refused to be forgotten. Decades later, an archaeologist unearthed ancient Native American artifacts and the remnants of a burial ground, lending credence to the legends of the cursed grounds. Today, Lake Shawnee stands abandoned, its rusted rides and dilapidated structures serving as a haunting reminder of its past. Those who dare to visit speak of an oppressive silence broken only by the creaking of old metal and the distant echoing laughter of children. It's a place where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and where the echoes of a troubled past reach into the present. As night falls, the shadows lengthen, and the spirits of the lost are said to roam freely, forever trapped in the limbo of Lake Shawnee. And so, the abandoned amusement park remains, a ghostly playground where the past is never truly gone, and the spirits play in eternal twilight. Once, in the shadowed, mist-wrapped valleys of a forgotten corner of Europe, there stood a looming, dilapidated structure known to the locals simply as Frankenstein's Castle. The ancient edifice, perched precariously atop a craggy hill, was shrouded in tales of horror and mystery. It was said that within its crumbling walls something more than darkness dwelled. The castle's most infamous occupant had been a brilliant but unhinged scientist, Victor Frankenstein. Obsessed with conquering death, he had delved into the forbidden experiments, stitching together a being from the parts of the deceased. This creation, though born of noble intent, became a living nightmare, leading to tragedy and the eventual downfall of its creator. Years passed and the castle fell into ruin, yet the villagers in the valley below spoke of strange occurrences. Lights flickered in the tower windows at night, and eerie sounds echoed from the once grand halls. It was as if the spirits of Frankenstein and his ill-fated creation lingered, unable to find peace. Among these spirits there were tales of others too, the lost souls of those whose remains had been used in the scientists' dark experiments. They roamed the corridors, an assembly of ghostly figures bound together by their tragic fates. One night, a group of daring, curious youths from the village decided to explore the castle. Armed with nothing but lanterns and a sense of adventure, they crept through the creaking, ivy-clad gates. Inside they found a labyrinth of dusty chambers and grand, ghostly halls, all adorned with the remnants of scientific ambition turned to madness. As they ventured deeper, the air grew colder, and the atmosphere tensed with an unspoken dread. Whispering voices seemed to float through the halls, and spectral figures flitted in the corners of their eyes. In the grand laboratory where Frankenstein had conducted his unholy work, they felt an overwhelming sense of sorrow and despair. Here they encountered the spirit of Frankenstein himself, a tortured shade bound eternally to his creation. He spoke of his regret and the curse of his ambition, warning the youths of the dangers of meddling with the natural order. As dawn approached, the spirits seemed to grow more restless, their forms flickering like candle flames in a draught. The youths, their hearts filled with empathy for the lost souls, pledged to remember their stories and share them with the world, hoping that in doing so, they might help these tortured spirits find some semblance of peace. With the first light of morning casting its glow over the castle, the group made their way back to the village. Behind them, the ghost of Frankenstein's castle faded into the light, their whispers echoing in the wind, a haunting reminder of the thin line between genius and madness, and the eternal consequences of tampering with life and death. Boy Scout Lane in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, is shrouded in mystery and legend, its history intertwined with eerie tales and unexplained occurrences. This road, now a dead-end street surrounded by a dense forest, has been the subject of numerous ghost stories and urban legends, drawing the curious and the brave to explore its supposed hauntings. The story of Boy Scout Lane seems to originate from a tragic event that purportedly took place in the 1950s or 1960s. According to local lore, a troop of Boy Scouts was on an expedition in the area when a horrific incident occurred. The details vary depending on who tells the tale, but the most common version suggests the scouts were camping in the woods off the lane when they met an untimely fate. Some say they were tragically lost and perished in the woods, while others speak of a more sinister end at the hands of their scout leader or random act of violence. Since then, the road and its surrounding woods have been said to be haunted by the spirits of these young boys. Witnesses have reported a range of paranormal phenomena, ghostly figures seen wandering amongst the trees, eerie sounds of footsteps and whispers in the dead of night, and even chilling apparitions of children in scout uniforms. Some have also claimed to see lantern lights moving through the woods as if the scouts are still trying to find their way back. Over the decades, Boy Scout Lane has become a popular destination for ghost hunters and thrill seekers. Despite the lack of any verifiable historical evidence to support the legend, the stories continue to persist, fueled by the lane's isolated location and the eerie atmosphere it exudes. Local authorities, aware of the lane's reputation and the risks associated with trespassing in the area, especially at night, have discouraged these excursions. But the legend of Boy Scout Lane lives on, a spooky slice of Stevens Point folklore that continues to captivate the imaginations of residents and visitors alike. The true story of Boy Scout Lane may never fully be known, and perhaps it's this mystery that keeps the legend alive. Whether there's any truth to the tales, or they're simply the products of vivid imaginations, Boy Scout Lane remains a symbol of the enduring power of local myths and ghost stories, a place where the boundary between reality and legend is as murky as the shadows that dance between the trees.